welcome back to my channel. It's Christian here, and you're tuned in for more of my 2 cents. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, then welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And if this is your second, third, or 95th time, because I do have a lot of videos up, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to be more of a lifestyle content week where I don't discuss heavy Christian or religious or spirituality topics. I like to give some balance and a little break in between and give you guys my take on other things that I personally am experiencing or dealing with or can speak to, or things that you all may have questions about that aren't always religious or spirituality based, because child, we need a break from them. Okay, it's too heavy, too much, and I don't like that. So today's video is going to be talking about unschooling. If you missed my first part to this video, go ahead and check it out. I think it would do you some good. It'll give you some foundation on what I'm talking about today. So hit pause and then go watch that and then come back, okay? So the first video, I talked about why my husband and I decided to homeschool, gave 3 points, very clear, direct, and precise on why we are here today. And now today we're going to talk about unschooling and the homeschool thought process, right? Why we do what we do and how we feel about the school system and the structure overall. This may be a little bit of a longer video, but it's going to be so worth it because I'm going to give great detail and I'm going to be very direct and authentic and transparent in my beliefs for this situation specifically. And again, as I said in the first video, I'm not telling you what to do, what to think, or how to move. I'm just sharing my 2 cents on why we are where we are today. And it may be a light and help other people as well. First things first, I know that homeschooling is not something that is largely popular in the Black community. I gave those points earlier in my first video, and I will definitely say that there are some stigmas attached to homeschooling. At least it was back in my day, that homeschooling children were different, weird, awkward, unsocialized. Their parents, didn't have a lot of money, lived very, humble or modest lives and all of that. Well, I'm telling you, and I'm here to show you right now that ain't what's happening over here. Those myths and stigmas are not attached to the Sargent household and how we operate, or any of the other households that I know who homeschool. Your family can thrive. Your family can still have income. Your children can still have social lives and be socially acclimated. And I'm not going to say normal because I don't think it's cool to call kids weird. Shout out to bullies. Get out of here with that. Like, don't say no dumb shit like that about kids being weird because they're homeschooled. That is mean. And I don't like it. Okay. So yes, you can still have all of the same experiences as your child would have in school, out of school. There are cohorts where your children co-ops, child, I'm thinking about my business again. There are co-ops where you can actually join with other homeschooling groups in your community and teach together. You can swap off days for different lessons and different curriculums or different subjects. One parent or co-op group can teach science and you can teach math. Or one day you go out to the park and y'all all do a family day or a field trip. There are so many resources that people are not aware of because there is fear attached to detaching from the system. So it's set up to make you feel like you can't do it, but when you get into it and do your research, you'll realize just how easy it is, because that's what happened with us. We were kind of scared at first over the summer when my husband and I officially decided we were doing it. And thank God for him, because he jumped in full force and he took on the research. He took on looking up the curriculums and watching videos on YouTube. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube about homeschooling and why parents do it and how it works for them and the curriculums that they use. And we looked at a lot of curriculums side by side. We looked at the Texas legislation on it. What does our state mandate for homeschooling? Texas is very liberal on homeschooling. They are huge advocates for homeschooling because they believe that it does help with family structure and bringing families closer together to spend more time together by learning, sharing, and growing in the same spaces, which I'm an advocate for that. And I think that it's just a beautiful experience overall. If you can do it, I would say that if you feel comfortable and confident enough, then do it. Don't let the fear and the stigma, or don't even confess things like, oh my God, I can never teach my kids. I ain't got the patience, right? Or, oh my goodness, they get on my nerves just in this amount of time. I can imagine being with them all day. That's something that you're feeding yourself. That's a belief that you continue to think regarding your family and your children, and you shouldn't do that. Now, I'm not telling you but it hurts the counterproductive. It's counterproductive to what you want to get your children or your family away from. So think positively about it, because I used to kind of feel like that, like, I can't do this all day. But then my mind changed. Like, as my life changed, my mind changed. I became more than a stay-at-home mom. I became a business owner. And then my freedom as a business owner started making me see, like, wow, I want my whole family to experience this, right? Then my husband went from corporate America to full-time entrepreneurship. And it's like, I kind of want our whole family to experience this together. So think differently about it. So right now, the way that we're structured, before I get into my points of unschooling, unschooling is real. Before I get into those, our son is 7 in the 2nd grade, and our daughter is 5 in kindergarten. So technically, her birthday is in September. She would still be in pre-K if she was in public or private school. They would consider her a late starter, and she would still be in pre-K as a tall as 5-year-old, because my daughter's very tall. She looks like her and my son, who's 7, look like they could be twins. That's how tall she is. I love my baby though. Sis got them legs, okay? So we homeschool. We split up the days. My husband teaches language arts to our son on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Language arts, reading and writing. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I instruct and teach math. We do follow a complete curriculum. Actually, it's called Time for Learning, where you pay for it monthly and you just log on. There are videos for each lesson. There are guided lesson plans, and then there are independent lesson studies where there's extra worksheets and things like that. Full-fledged curriculum where we don't have to really talk and teach anything if we don't want to, because everything is videoed by an instructor. But we still do. We still teach. We still expound. We still give help where needed and answer questions, as well as keep the lesson going throughout the day. Even after he's done on the computer or with the worksheets, we're still implementing what he learned from that lesson throughout the day. With my daughter, I teach her both subjects, math and language arts, which are the only 2 subjects required by Texas. This is what's so mind-blowing to me, because you would feel like, oh my God, I got to teach science and social studies and this and that. You don't. You don't. Based off of your state's requirements, you would be surprised at how little actually is mandated to teach, because when your child is in school, they have to follow a certain lesson plan to keep the day long. But your child can really learn what they need to learn in probably 2.5, 3 hours. No cap. No cap. Like, our school days are between an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours at most. Okay? And we're done for the day. Like, we start at 10 and we're done by 12 every day. Because it doesn't take all of that, especially when you're talking about small children who don't have the focus. They don't have the desire to sit still. That's a taught, trained behavior. You don't have to sit still for 8 hours a day, y'all, with little breaks to go to the bathroom, get water, and recess and lunch. That's a system that's set up that way for you to get prepared for corporate America that will mirror and image that same exact structure. That same exact plan is set out for you from elementary school to high school to college to workforce. You can't be mad about that if it's just the truth. Like, it's not. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being honest. I noticed it well before we even had kids, but I couldn't do anything about it because I needed a job. So I had to sit there at my desk and do my work. But then when I started unraveling all of the bull, I was like, dang, we've kind of been trained from the beginning to live like this. And I don't like that. So I don't want to get too far off my point. So let's get to the home unschooling. So the unschooling points that led to where we are present day and speaks to what I was just saying is kids are made to sit still, right? You know that as a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, the energy is there. The energy becomes suppressed when they're in certain environments that make them feel as if though they're out of control, out of hand, and need to be disciplined in order to sit still and focus. Well, children are able to learn through their experiences, which is why a lot of children, psychologists, sociology, well, I don't want to say sociologists, but, like kid counselors and things like that, and therapists will say from the ages of 3 to 10, or, it may be a little bit less, maybe 3 to 7 or 3 to 8, but your children should be learning through play. I know that that's not how society is set up, because we have to work. Like, humans and adults have to work to make a living. So you're not really free to give your children that freedom of expression and to learn through these formative years. Okay, that's how it's set up. That's no knock on you, but society is kind of trash for making that the standard, right? When we know that the freedom of mind and the freedom of imagination is there, but it gets snatched away from them to make them sit still, be quiet, and watch me while I tell you what to think, believe, and do, right? Okay, so kids are made to sit still in school. That's the unschooling part for us. We learn everywhere, right? So I did not set up a classroom for our children in our house. We have free space. They have their play area. Sometimes we learn in my office, on the floor, in the living room. We sit down, talk, go through the lesson together. The possibilities are endless. Sometimes when I'm working at my business, they're there. They're able to do their lesson there. If we're out of town, great. Laptop, worksheets, focus, your books. Make sure we bring that stuff with us. You can learn anywhere. Okay, it's not about distractions as much as it is discipline to actually learn during the times that we've set up, or whenever we get to it, because that's also stressful with trying to make everything structured if you're unschooling. No, we don't have to start at 10 every day. If something happens and we can't, I'm not going to put stress or pressure on myself or my child to learn right now because we 15 minutes behind. Get over here and sit down. That's not that's not helping, right? You're still making it an anxiety based experience, and you don't want to attach that to learning. That's how children say, I don't like school, I don't like this, I don't like that, because everything is mandated and there's no free flowing energy, which children love to go with the flow. We're the ones that introduce the resistance and the anger and the anxiety when they're not doing what we want them to do. And that's when in school they get labeled as bad, right? ADD, they get labeled with all of these things before they even, hit teenage years, because someone else didn't like the way that they were responding or engaging in their environment that was supposed to be structured. I don't like that. I don't. Okay? But given society standards, this is where we are. So the unschooling part of sitting still and focusing or else. No. School is the beginning of people pleasing. It absolutely is. A lot of us can probably go back to the days in our childhood where we wanted to do everything right for this one teacher, or we love this teacher's affirmation and smile. You learn that initially as a baby, right? When your parents clap for you when you stand up, or cheer you on when you're doing something right, or you get the block in the box, or you fit it or turn it the right way. That affirmation and that joy comes naturally because you've done something good and you've been given the stamp of approval for doing something good. Well, when you're in school, you become a people pleaser the same way. You want someone to give you accolades. I noticed that when our son was in school, they had these things called brag tags. So they were small little pieces of paper that had like these words on it, and the teacher would check off the box if you were kind to others, if you were helpful, if you were attentive, whatever the case may be. And if you were good all day, or I guess better than the others that day, you would get a brag tag, and the teacher would mark off the box that they pretty much wanted to brag on you for. I didn't like those. You want to know why? Because when our son did not get one, he was crushed for the day, because he felt like he had fallen short. While these things may seem good in deed or in thought to the teacher or the school, it actually is harmful to the child's self-confidence level, because now they're going to go above and beyond and be snitching on kids, trying to overdo it and help and overcompensate with, being assistants or whatever to you during the day. Please improve themselves to you just to get this little square piece of paper. I can print that shit off at home and check all the boxes if I want to for my son right now, right? But these are the standards. This is the way that this is set up. to start early with the class system of you ranking yourself amongst your peers. I don't like that. Next up, children are labeled before truly learning what or who they are. Correct. I stated that earlier. Whether you're bad, oh, they have ADD, they're diagnosed with things, oh, they have learning disabilities, they don't learn as fast as the other kids. I don't think that's fair to put that on a child when they're learning at the pace that they learn. If they are, I don't even want to say hyperactive, but if they do have, more energy than other kids and they don't want to sit still, okay, well, the learning environment doesn't suit them. Send them to a different learning environment. Maybe Montessori, where they're allowed to freely explore and focus on what they're interested in that day, what they're attracted to in that season of their life and their learning style. Don't restrict them or force them to stay in certain environments that will pretty much break their soul, shout out to Beyonce, for your sake, because you feel like they're out of order or they're not doing something the way that you want them to, or it's disturbing you from teaching the other 22 or 25 kids in your class. There should be no groups of 22 or 25 kids in any learning environment. How in the hell will one person teach all of those kids the same thing and we are guaranteed that every kid sitting there is learning it at the same time without difficulty? No. I enjoy the one-on-one that I'm able to give my son and my daughter, noticing what she's not grasping or what he's not grasping. We can catch it that day and spend more time on it that day, tomorrow, next week, or whenever. There's no plan that says, oh, I got to move right along because we have testing. We have testing coming up. No teacher has the time to stay there and focus on it so Ginny gets it or Johnny gets it or Beverly understands or Sarah, is locked in. They're going to keep going because the pace in the curriculum and the lesson plan tells them they got to keep going because they have hard dates and deadlines. Well, with homeschooling, guess what? Well, at least for Texas, there is no state testing. You heard me what I said. There is no state testing. Our children are not going to take state tests. They don't have to. Texas does not require it. Your state probably does not require state testing in homeschooling. But these are things that we don't know. So we have to just do the research and understand. And then at the end of the video, I would like to share, like some insight and resources on how possibly, you can do this as a communal effort, right? Or a communal exercise and experiment to see how you or your family, your friends, or whoever can come together to make this an option for you all. Maybe not this year, maybe in 2 years or 5 years, because the school system is a 12-year program. Okay, it's a 12-step program from preschool to 12th grade. So you may have some time in there that you can actually plan to make this an effective step for you in the future. Not immediately, but just something to think about how you in your community could come together, your network or your circle could work together to make this possible for your children, their children, or for your family in general, okay? Next up, pressure to perform in anxiety-driven environments. A big no-no for me. So here, there are no measurements or milestones that make you higher than anyone else in your group, right? You don't have to be or feel pressure in order to get accolades. You don't have to feel like you're in competition with your classmates in order to get a certificate or to be noticed at the end of the day or to get a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. You're learning the way that you learn today with nothing else in your mind, with no competition planted in your head to do this right more than others, because that's pressure. That's stress. Children respond to stress differently. When you have children that may act out, that may cry, holler, pout, hit other kids, whatever, that's because their mind is processing things differently from our minds. So we know how we feel when we play in spades or Uno or checkers or whatever. We talk junk. Kids are internalizing all of that in their little bodies, their little minds, and they're trying to even it all out to where it's like, okay, well, I want Miss such and such to give me the cookie. And so they're just, and then next thing you know, you get bit on your neck. You get bit on your hand, right? You get bit on your back. Because this 5-year-old, this 7-year-old, this 6-year-old, this 10-year-old doesn't know how to reconcile the pressure of pleasing you, the pressure of attaining this good sticker or this good mark or this green light or whatever that makes them feel like they're not good enough or like they're not achieving something that they have to in order to not be laughed at or put down by their peers. So you see it as great in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, they have to deal with the backlash of being left off of the board, right? So they may have a group of 5 in your class that they're friends with, and they may be the one out of the group of 5 that didn't get on the board. And now they're walking home with those other friends of theirs, and their friends are making fun of them for not making it onto the board. You think you're doing a service to the child that you're giving accolades to, but you're actually isolating the other one. I don't like that. Child? Okay. Next thing for unschooling. Tests that do not prove or provide resources to thrive. I just kind of touched on that with the state testing. It's not required in Texas. It is something that I believe leads up to like the ACTs and the SATs in college. In high school, that tells you whether or not you'll rank or score to get in or whatever. Y'all, I don't know if the SATs actually really had anything to do with me getting into college or not, but who cares? Who cares? What was my results? I don't even remember because it did not matter. These are things that are man-made constructs to either make you judge yourself based off of what you did do well or did not do, or compare yourself to your peers for what they did. Be it better than you or not, you'll start the classism right there. Oh, sis, I got this on my SAT, and the ACT was optional. So it didn't even matter. And you had to pay for all of these tests for both of those. The SAT had a fee, and so did the ACT. Get out of here. So there are tests that our children are given that do not prove or provide any kind of resources or help. If you don't get this or that right, or you score less on the English part of this or the math part of that, what are the resources after that? Usually you're just stamped as someone that's not good at math. Math was never my strong suit. You start carrying that over in all of your grades and all of your levels as you get older and you go through the school year more and more, and you get to the next grade. You always keep that thought in your mind. I've never been good at math. I've never been good at test taking. And then that carries over into college. And then that carries over into your work life. And that carries over into your adulthood, right? I've never been a good test taker. You carry all of these standards and statuses over into your growth as an individual. And it started from one little seed of a classroom. It's a lot to consider when you think of the unschooling portion of it, where everything is based off of good enough or not good enough, right, wrong, good, bad, right, overachiever, underachiever. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know personally, I didn't want my kids to have to break through that on top of the other things that would already be against them. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Free thought is dangerous. I can't think of the name of the book, and I don't want to say it was Conversations with Satan. It may have been. But in the book, Satan shares that the greatest and the best thing in his favor, in Satan's favor, right, is school, education. The education in the school system is favored, right, by Satan, because it keeps individuals from thinking for self. It teaches individuals not to think for self. Free thought is dangerous in learning environments and school systems and in the structure of education. You think what you're told to think. You think what you're taught. That's why I am heavy on telling you all here, think for yourself. Use your own logic. That is your only power. That's your superpower. It's free thought. If you give that up, people can put anything in your head. Question everything. Believe only what is proven to you, and not from studies or whatever else. If it can't be proven, then let it just stay as an open-ended question. It's no offense. I just ain't got enough information on that. That's how I move in my life. I don't have enough information on that. So it don't make me no difference if it's true or not. I don't know. And I release it because I'm not going to struggle with something that I can't confirm or deny for sure whether or not it's true or not. That's not my fight. I just know what I was told by another adult, and I'm pretty sure they told me what they were told, and that person that told them probably read it or was told it, and we're just keeping this going. It's giving lamb chops. This is the information that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started saying it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue saying it forever just because this is the information that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. You're not going to get me, okay? Or my kids. So no, free thought is dangerous. So we're going to bring you home and you can think for self. Okay, there we go. So school is one of the only constructs and main constructs that is not evolved. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago that demonstrated this to perfection. It was a guy saying that the planes have evolved. He showed a demonstration from when planes first, were created. The innovation of a plane, the airplane, and now. Look at your old planes versus the current planes. The evolution of flight. Then you look at the evolution of cars. And then you look at the evolution of even television. You look at the evolution of telephones. And then you look at the evolution of, I would say technology and the internet, but hell yeah. You're now able to FaceTime from your device. I can see my mother, my sister, my brother, my cousin's face on my phone. Nobody would have ever thought you could do that on that. Nobody thought that you would be able to ever do this. Evolution. And then you look at school, the classroom looks the same from back then. Nothing about that has evolved. But every person that's come up with the new ideas in every new century and every new generation, all of those people have evolved. All of those innovative, thoughts and inventions have gotten better year after year. The car just keeps getting better. You got cars out here that don't even need gas. They're getting charged up like a goddamn cell phone. But you're telling me the way that we're taught has to remain the same? No, it needs to remain the same because classrooms mirror factories. Classrooms mirror cubicles. Classrooms mirror office spaces. Classrooms mirror service work. Classrooms do not mirror entrepreneurship. Classrooms do not mirror free travelers. Classrooms do not mirror free thinkers. Classrooms do not mirror innovation. It's only there to pour something in your mind to get the end result that is desired from the person that told you that. As with your job, you're trained. Somebody tells you what they want, they send you out there to go do it and perform for them. Now, we can do what we want to do with this information, but it's not a lie, it's the truth. And so, with that being the case, you get to choose for self, for your family. You get to choose from this point forward, what are you going to be a little bit more intentional about empowering yourself and your family with? Again, homeschooling may not be for you, but you can still think forward, thinking about, okay, when my children do get home, I'm going to make sure we focus on these values or these principles, or that I'm teaching them something else that I'm sure they didn't learn at school today. You can still have that influence and that power in your life and in your home where you are instilling other principles that go beyond what they're taught in school. Yes, it is good for you to make good grades and to, pass. But at the end of the day, honey, if you don't get it, it's okay. It's okay. We'll work a little bit harder for you to, understand it the way that you need to. But as long as you get the answer, that's all that matters. Right? That's what you can do. You may not be able to homeschool, but you can still be that voice of reason, that voice of peace for your children so they don't feel the pressure. You can still communicate that you are pleased with them. Even if they're not making the green light or if they're not getting the brag tags or whatever, you can still brag on your child, right? You can still buy certificates. You can go to the teacher's pet store. You can go to Dollar Tree and go get some certificates and write your child's name on it. You can do this too, even if you don't homeschool. But you have to be thinking about it. You have to be intentional. Oh my goodness, there's so much to unpack here. Let me see, because I have a lot of points. Okay, so I think the last point that I'll make before I let this go is 8-hour days, which mirror corporate America and your work life as you get older. You have 8-hour days. You have 8-hour shifts, right? So you work a 9 to 5, you work an 8 to 4, you work a 7 to 3, whatever that may be for you. That's how it is in the real world as you get older. But where does it start? At school. Now, the school day has to mirror the adult's work day. Oh my God, that's how you know this stuff is made up, because there's too many correlations that you can't ignore. Children have to be in school for 8 hours because parents have to work 8 hours. If the workforce changes their hours that adult has to be expected to work, school hours would change because parents would be free, so school wouldn't need to be that long. School doesn't need to be that long right now because kids can learn what they need to learn in 2 or 3 hours and get out for the day, but who would watch them? Make the day longer. Put some stuff in there. Give them specials. Give them music. Give them art. Give them gym. Right? Is I'm lying? Not am I. Is I'm lying? No, I'm not. This is how we know that so many things are made up. Because what would it benefit them to give your child a 3-hour day? No, keep them in there. That's mental and social conditioning. When you get older, you're going to be okay with sitting at a desk for 8 hours, right? And putting away on your computer when you get up to go to the bathroom, just like you ask for permission to go to the bathroom. Nobody should have to ask you to get up and go use it. But the freedom is not there. Freedom is dangerous. And not only do you have classrooms in school and education that makes you feel like you have to follow the yellow brick road, but then you have religion. Keep them focused on this. You spend this much time during the week at school or at work, and then come sit here for 4 or 5 hours in church, right? And then get ready to do it again next week. It's a revolving cycle that keeps you stuck in the rat race. Get out of it. You don't know how. They don't want you to learn how. And then when you do, you become a threat because you're a free thinker, because the system doesn't get to determine just how much or how little you do. You choose. So with our children, what we are presenting them with is you don't have to spend 8 hours learning at school and then come home and only have 4 hours to yourself before you have to go to bed. Why would you do that to a person? Like, there's so much to enjoy in the day, to rest, to relax after you learn. You don't have to keep learning all day. Relax your mind. You're only going to take in so much and apply so much at a time anyway. So why would I inundate you with so much that's not going to matter today? You learn what you need to learn, go play. You learn what you need to learn, go take a nap if you want to. You learn what you need to learn, go get a snack. You learn what you need to learn, let's go out here and run some errands. You don't have to push things that far. You don't have to drive the nail into people's heads in order to make you feel like they've achieved something great. That is the narrative. That is the thought process to please other people. So 8 hours in school, then you get home and you have homework. I heard someone, I believe it was Myron Golden. Love Myron Golden. Check him out. He's a great businessman and business mind. But Myron Golden has shared a story where he said that when his children were in school, he recalled his son coming home with homework. And he said he didn't care if his son did the homework or not. That wasn't a focus of his. And he said that his child's teacher called and, wanted to have a parent-teacher conference. So he said he and his wife went to the parent-teacher conference. The teacher complained about his son not getting homework done. Well, he keeps coming to school without his homework done. He said he told the teacher, get this. This is when I knew that I wasn't crazy. Okay, knew I wasn't. But this is when I knew I was on to something that was right, pure, direct, and logical. He said he told the teacher, my son does his work when he's at school with you. Don't send your work home to me, because when he gets home to me, I have work for him to do. The dishes, the trash, cleaning up at the house, right? That's homework. This that you're giving him is schoolwork. So you have him for 8 hours, so he needs to do it while he's with you, not while he's with me. That's why I sent him to you. Y'all, the power that had for me, y'all don't even know. That is exactly how it is set up, to overdo it at every angle, every milestone, every season of your life. We have been controlled. I went to school, so I know this to be true. I'm not saying something that I didn't experience. I'm just saying something that I'm now changing for my children's experience. But I too was a victim. I too was a tribute. Shout out to the Hunger Games for somebody else's system. So when you become free, and I mean truly free indeed, you can still work a job if you want to, and you can still send your children to school if you want to, but you can still do the work to make sure that the indoctrination, that the options are discussed, that the certain things that I'm mentioning now are pinpointed, and you're doing the due diligence to work against that, or to make sure it's not penetrating your children's innermost being, because they still have to exist in this world. So everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur, and everybody ain't going to be a homeschooler. I get that. But there are certain values and principles that need to be discussed so you know that you have options. That's all I'm saying. Consider all of the information. When you know it, you can execute and you can operate from a place of knowledge versus a place of ignorance. If I still had to work right now, I would make sure that I was implementing okay, let me make sure that I give my children break days. If they need a break, you can get a break today. You don't want to go to school today? Not a problem. Mommy will call in too. If I need PTO, what makes you think children don't need PTO? We don't think about that. We don't think about that. When my son was in school, I was the classroom mom. But in his kindergarten class, his pre-K class, and his first grade class, I was the room mom. They sent the link out, sis tapped the link. I was the one running the snacks up there. I was the one that did the background check to make sure I was clear so I could be in the room. Oh, y'all having a Christmas party? Not a problem. I'll be up there. As soon as I drop him off in the drop-off line, I'm coming inside. That was me. I was present. Again, that's not saying that you're not doing enough by not being, but if I'm going to have you in this system, they going to know I exist too. We going to be in the system. You feel me? Like just going the extra mile to make sure your children know that they have the ability and the freedom. If thou so choose, if thou desire, I am an advocate for you, baby. If you got to be in here, we going to advocate for you. For your freedom, for your peace. You're not going to be judged. You're not going to be compared to your classmates. I'm not going to have that. Don't come to me and tell me about little Jenny who did this, got that, saw this, worked that, whatever. That's not your business. You do a great job too. This is amazing what you did. Oh my goodness, let me put a star on this paper. Like that kind of stuff. You can still do that work. You can still do those things. There are homeschooling co-ops again, that even if you can't do it, there are other groups that do it, that may be willing to allow you to drop your child off at their house to learn. You dropping your child off at school anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that you should drop your child off with strangers. But my point is, there are co-ops and groups that can definitely help you to gain the resources and learn more, to feel comfortable and confident on making the switch whenever, if ever, you're ready. And there's so much more joy to this side of life and doing things for your family than the fear that has been sold or taught or shown to us. Your children will not be socially awkward or inept. That's not true. Our children play with their friends in the neighborhood every day. When their friends get off the school bus or get home from school, our kids are beating their door down to play until the sun goes down. Go ahead. That's social time, right? We have field trips once a week. So I'm constantly finding things for them to do around the city to make sure that they're exposed, they're still engaging. Go to the zoo, have zoo memberships, museum memberships. You don't have to wait till yellow school bus take off to go. We going today. What do you know? It's Wednesday. Half off at the zoo. Let's go. right? So these things can happen. It's the freedom in which you give self, and then you can experience that with everyone else around you. But first you have to want that, and you have to actually intentionally work towards that. So if you would like more information or resources about it, drop down in the comment section below and let me know, and I will gladly share anything that I can. Anything. I love this most for me and my family as a Black family, and I'm just saying this straight up. I love it for us because it is allowing me to and me and my husband to teach things that I know they wouldn't learn in school. I just know they wouldn't. So Black history is not just a February lesson, right? We're not just going to learn about Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, George Washington Carver. We're not just going to keep hearing those names. They're great. Thank you for them. But when my son found out about Obama, lost his mind. Like, he was the president? Like, yes, he was. Like, he's 7, so he didn't know. But my point is the excitement and the pure joy and happiness. And then the sadness of having to say he's the first Black president ever, and the only thus far out of all of these years. But that's what we get to start today with history, right? We get to instill more history, right? We get to share the history that mom and dad are even making. That is impactful. No one can take that from them because we are able to instill it personally with a clear, pure heart, not trying to give, or sow any seeds of discourse or discord or anything like that. We're being authentic and genuine in what we share and what we teach, and we're instilling that so they can go out and be amazing, beautiful souls, genuine, kind, and authentic with those around them, and know their worth and value no matter what room they step in. And know their options. They may still want a job. They may still grow up and want to do things. My son wants to be a zoologist. Well, that sounds like entrepreneurship to me, honey, because I don't know anybody that's out here chasing down animals, right, for a living. So go ahead and open your zoo, baby. Go ahead. It was the funniest thing. I'm going to tell the story and I got to go. This is what I love about the freedom of homeschooling. My son was doing a math quiz. And while he's answering the math questions, I'm sitting there next to him. And he looks up at me with the most serious face and he says, Mommy, I'm going to get back to the quiz, but I just want to ask you, is me learning too much of this going to stop me from being a zoologist? And I said, no, baby, you can still be a zoologist if you want to. And he was like, okay, good. Because I was going to say, like, I don't want to learn anymore this math if it's going to stop me from being a zoologist. I said, nope. You need to know how many elephants you got. You need to know how many rhinos and hippos and giraffes. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And the boy went back to the quiz. Because that's in his childish mind, right? In his small, free mind, he cares about what he cares about. And that wasn't me saying, boy, be quiet and do this quiz. No. Yes, son, you can still be a zoologist no matter how much math you learn. That's the joy and the freedom. That's the beauty of their mind and their free-flowing energy that always wants to seek what they desire. They don't know how to turn that off. And I am grateful that for me, I'm able to give them that, but even more that I'm able to share that it's possible for you too. Okay? All right. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It was a lot. It's 43 minutes long, probably one of my longest videos ever, but I'm not going to cut it down because I think it was powerful. So even if you need to watch this and break it up in pieces, do that, but it's powerful. It's impactful. And I think that we need to have more conversations like this. And we need to be willing to at least look into things with the work from home landscape being what it is right now. I think that it's way more possible now than it probably ever was in my mother's day to be able to do this as a single mom. But you can do this too. And the children that you want to raise are the children that you have the right to raise. However you want them to be, you can raise them to be that. My husband used to say when our children were younger, oh my goodness, I would never take a flight longer than 4 hours with them. And I said, don't say that, because I will. We will take flights with our children that's longer than 4 hours. We will go out of the country with our kids because they will be as good as you raise them to be. They'll be as patient or cooperative as you raise them to be. They're yours. Anything your kid ain't, it's because you're not helping them to be that. That's my take on it. So if my kids are out of control and I can't I don't want to be around them, or I can't stand them for too long, what am I doing that makes them be intolerable? That's like a real question for me. And then I think back to my mother, who had 4 children with no husband. We were not intolerable for my mother. My mother took us everywhere with her. Every church service, every conference, right? Every women's retreat that she had to preach at. We knew how to sit still, be quiet, and be apart. It was no crying, whining, running around. Oh, get them, get them, get them. There wasn't none of that, because she raised us to be companions to whatever she wanted us to experience. And so is now. I don't see my children as a burden or a block for me doing things. Oh, now we going to be direct so they 18. Oh, I ain't going to be able to get white furniture or light color furniture today. This. I have light color furniture now. I had that mindset where I was like, oh, we got to get a dark gray couch or a brown couch. And then one year I was like, F that. They messing up the gray and the brown couch. I'm getting this beige couch. And y'all bet not. And to this day, they ain't messed up my new couch. Because the intentionality isn't, I'm going to get this because I know you're going to mess it up. No, I'm going to get this and you're not going to mess it up. I'm not going to restrict what I want to experience based off of what I think you're going to do. I'm going to teach you and help you to not do it. And then that means I'll be able to have what I want. I'm not going to withhold from me what I want because you don't know better. I can teach you better and I can have what I want. Y'all don't want to hear me. But that's a different thing. That's a different topic for a different day. But I do like having these dialogues and discussions. And with the homeschooling element, it does make it to where they expect to learn, they expect to experience, and we are growing together. And it works for us. And maybe it can work for you too. If not, then that's totally fine. Keep doing what you're doing. I am pretty sure your children are excelling and are learning the best that they can. And you're doing the best that you can with what you have, what you know, and what your options are. All right. So don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. But for those of you who do want to do this or need more help or resources or information or just more education and encouragement, I'm your girl. Don't mind doing that, okay? Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We love to add you to our 2 Cents crew. Bye.